slides. And we're also recording this call today so that we can send it out to people who were unable to attend. And just a couple of housekeeping, the chat is open. So if you have questions at any time, feel free to put them in the chat. As well, if just in order for us to protect the internet bandwidth, if you can keep your cameras and mics off, that would be fantastic. Right, again, welcome. Okay, we can advance the slide. Okay. Okay, for those who may not know, it's a little bit of an overview of what is multiple sclerosis. MS is a chronic autoimmune disease of the central nervous system, which includes the brain, spinal cord, and optic nerve. MS can affect vision, memory, balance, and mobility. It is considered an episodic disability, meaning that the severity and duration of illness and disability can vary and are often followed by periods of wellness. There are approximately 2.8 million people living with multiple sclerosis around the world, with Canada having one of the highest incident rates. People are generally diagnosed between the ages of 20 and 40 years old, although we know that there are many people that are diagnosed older than that and sometimes younger than that as well. On average, 12 Canadians are diagnosed with MS every day. That is 1 in 400 people. And so if we think about our own networks, even though we may not be aware, chances are there is someone in our lives that is living with MS. And women are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with MS than men. If we can advance the slide. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Just a little bit of MS Canada. We raise $40 million annually in support of the mission of our organization. And since 1948, MS Canada has provided over $212 million for MS research, investing between $5 and $10 million annually in grants, awards, education, and training. Over 100 researchers are currently funded in our research portfolio. There are more than 10,000 individuals that are supported through our programs from coast to coast. The annual cost of MS to Canada is significant, totaling more than $3.4 billion in direct health costs, productivity loss, and other costs. And just another point, in 2003, there were only 3 disease-modifying therapies approved by Health Canada. Today, there are 19. Increasing the number of treatments available has delayed disability onset by 10 years or more and has reduced mortality rate by 30%. A quick overview of the May 50K, which I'm sure you're aware. The May 50K is an online fundraising and fitness challenge which happens, surprise, surprise, in the month of May. The fitness challenge is to do 50 kilometers of any activity, but you can also adapt the distance to meet your ability. So, if you're, you can change the goal from 50 kilometers to something else, up higher or lower. You can participate alone, or you can join a team. We have a workplace team here at MS Canada with a number of us participating this year. And that goes to the next point. If you're looking to engage other people, think about engaging people in your workplace. If you're in a book club, on a sports team, or anywhere else. The great thing about the May 50K compared to our other signature events is that this can be done anywhere in your own community. This year for the May 50K, MS Canada has a fundraising goal of $625,000, and we're hoping to have 3,600 participants across the country. And now I'm very excited to introduce Roberta Saulnier and Susan Page, who are MS Canada May 50K ambassadors. And they're going to spend a little bit of time with us sharing their stories, talking about why they chose to participate in the May 50K, and even something interesting about the two of them, and how they got to know each other. Last year, Roberta was the top fundraiser globally, and Susan was the 3rd fundraiser globally. So Canada has as long as the May 50K has been in existence, Canada has consistently had some of the top fundraisers across the world. If we can ask Susan and Roberta to come off camera. And if we can put the spotlight on them as well.
Hello.
Hello. There's one. And there's Susan. Excellent. All right, thank you again for spending some time with us this evening. I'm wondering if you can both take a minute to share your MS story and about why you participate in the May 50K.
Roberta, did you want to go first in case your call comes?
Sure, actually, that's a great. Thank you. I'm Roberta. I've been doing the May 50K. This would be my 4th year, if I remember correctly. I was diagnosed with MS in 2015. So for anybody that does have MS in this call, everybody understands the heartache and I don't even know how to describe the feeling you get. And I kind of went into a slum, like most people do, I think, just struggling day to day. I had a really bad relapse. And I was on Facebook one day and I saw May 50K. So I was like, what's this? Anything to learn more about the disease. So I joined the first year. I was able to do the 50 kilometers. And then once I started getting all the donations from my community, I kind of, I don't know, I got a sense of, okay, people care, I'm not alone in this, I have support. And I literally never stopped walking since the first May 50K about 4 years ago. And now it's something I look forward to every year. I actually start the 1st of April because 1 month is not enough for me. I can't get enough of it. I've made wonderful friends. I am competitive with this. I am at 112 kilometers so far of walking, and I love to raise money. I am literally make all of my community give money whether they want to or not.
Susan, do you want to share your story?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I'm actually one of the few usually that participates that doesn't actually have MS, but however, my father does. And as a 9-year-old girl, when we got the diagnosis, I still remember I was cross-legged on the floor when he told us, and there was a table next to me with a laundry basket full of laundry, and I just like jolted to my knees. I flailed this basket clear across the table, and I just like pounded my head, just sobbing away, and figuring that my best friend was gonna die. And so as the years progressed, and he kept on deteriorating, but his mindset was able to actually keep him out of a wheelchair for about 35 years of the 40 years that he's had MS. And so just the deterioration, and the last in 2019 was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. It was actually my birthday, and he wasn't feeling well, and I had planned a birthday party at our local tavern, and so I was there, and my mom wasn't going to come because my dad hadn't been feeling well. And then later that evening, she texted me. She's like, "We've called the ambulance. He's going to the hospital," figuring he just had a bladder infection, which if you're not sure, MS, that is very, very common. And so I didn't think anything of it because he's been to the hospital numerous times for it. And so then we kept on going to see him, and the infection cleared up, but then some other thing took over his body, and it wasn't accepting any antibiotics. It wasn't anything. No tests were coming up with anything, but this monster inside was just completely taking over. And it was to the point that my mom and I had decided that we're just going to stop all medication, have the family flown in because my dad was basically dying. And so at one point he actually had 8 bags of IV things hanging from his pole. And once we stopped the antibiotics, the days had gone, my family's in, and all of a sudden he started showing signs of life, and he was starting to come back. But at that point he did come back, but he had lost every single little use of his limbs that he had. So he has really no functioning arms, no functioning legs. So he had to be paneled into a personal care home where he's resided since 2019 because he can't feed himself and he can't clean himself, he can't do anything. So I saw this a few years ago. I think this is my third year in the May 50K, because my cousin posted that she had registered for this in support of my father. I'm like, oh, what is this? And I'm not one for a large group of people, but this one, like, yeah, you can pick your activity that you want to do. You do it on your own schedule, and you do it by yourself if you want. I don't have to go on a specific day. I can walk wherever I want. I don't have to wait on anybody. I'm like, oh, this is it. So I signed up, and yeah, pretty much the rest is history. I ended up doing, I think, 202 kilometers my first year, and I raised over $8,000 that year. And then last year, they had asked me to be an ambassador, and we had an ambassador call, which is how I met Roberta, because we had this nice little friendly competition. It was her ahead, and then I'm ahead, and then so we just kept on going, and then finally she kind of skyrocketed past me. I'm like, well, if we can't beat them, join them. So I joined her team, so at least I'm number one in the team part, and because I don't like to lose either. So we've had this friendly rivalry, and I've gotten her story, and I posted on Facebook to get use actually real life examples other than just my father. So this is what happens with actual MS versus watching it from the sidelines. So it's a good way to network. And yeah, this year I'm actually rowing, because another friend of ours across the pond in the UK, he rows the thing. And so I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it. So that's what I'm doing. And apparently he's convinced Roberta to get a rowing machine. So maybe next year, the three of us will actually row it together as a team.
I do not have a rowing machine, but maybe next year. And then we can all row together. As I've, as the three of us have had conversations, what I really like is the innovative ways that you've chosen to fundraise. So we do know that, May 50K is designed to be a social media fundraising campaign, but you both have taken it to the next level and are actively fundraising within your own community. And so I wonder if you can each take a minute to share some of the strategies that you use when you're out fundraising.
I'll let Roberta go first again in case her phone call comes through.
My fundraising is not Susan's. I'm like going down to Susan because I am constantly stealing some of her information from her brutal Facebook posts that I love. But I'm from a smaller community, so keep that in mind. So, going door to door is something that I do as I go on my walks. I email a lot of businesses. Being a business owner, both me and my husband, I go the guild trip. I totally email every company. This year I'm planning a come walk with me fundraiser, and everybody pays $10 and just come walk, I don't know, 5K with me, just to make them physically see that my first 3 kilometers are great, but usually within the 4 or 5 kilometer range I'm dragging my leg. I struggle a lot more, so I'm gonna invite some people to come walk with me. I am crazy over Facebook posts, especially in May. Every time I go walk, it doesn't matter if it's just with my dog or my friends or my family, I post a picture, I tag everybody in it. It's like I told Susan and them earlier, I'm to a point that I'm known as the woman that walks in the community. Whether most people know why I walk or not, that's kind of what I am now. And a lot of my community is joining the team this year. I'm sure Susan has noted that our team went from 5 people. I think we're like 11 or 12 this year, because just giving the word out, putting the word out there, and explaining to people what it's all about and raising money. It encourages other people to walk, not necessarily that have MS, but they're like, hey, if you can do it, I can do it. Yes, sir. Now again, I can give the Susan time, but she is just, yeah, she could be a Marvel character with fundraising.
Thanks, Roberta. Yeah, I'm kind of a little aggressive I'm quiet for the rest of the year, except for this event for the 3 months. I pretty much go hard. As you can see, I've made a background post. I'm in Toastmasters, so I do a lot of Toastmasters meeting online. So once my conference this weekend is done, this will be my background. So I'm hoping to hit up a bunch of my Toastmasters friends who will then extend their Toastmasters friends and so forth and so forth. So it'll get across a couple provinces actually for our district. I try and wear my shirt whenever I can. I have also made a little button that I misplaced it this year, but it's just like a little business card that you put into a plastic sheet, and it says, "Ask me about the May 50K." That's all it says. So I'll wear that around, see if I get any responses, and if I do, I've actually made business cards that explain my what I'm doing and what I've committed to, and it gives a QR code that goes directly to my fundraising page. So it's easy, a nice takeaway, because if you're talking to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll donate whatever, well, then you leave, they get sidetracked. Guess what? You're probably not even a thought anymore. So if you leave, get them with a takeaway that they have absolutely no excuse. Along that, I've made posters that have my story. See if I can get a good on it. Same with again my QR code. I laminated a few of them. I've posted it to the back window of my car. So if somebody's behind me and they want to scan the QR code, they can do that. So at a red light, provided no cops are around, so they don't ticket them in our city anyway. That's illegal, but it's worth a shot. I have one for my side windows as well. So if I'm parked in a parking lot, I'll just shove it in the crevice of my window, so it's out there. So if somebody's out at work, they have a bunch of smokers, so I'll park close to the door, stick one on there. They know me. Maybe they'll just scan it and donate there. So Facebook posts, yeah, I have those every day, and I steal some testimonials from the MS Canada. I will I just copy and paste it so people know exactly the stories, because I can't physically explain the symptoms that go on and how people are feeling, because I don't have it. I can only kind of go with what I've seen with my dad, and I do that. With Roberta's permission, I've taken some of her pictures of her injecting herself, saying, hey, you know what, like, this is what people actually have to do every day. So if they actually know and kind of go with the guilt tripping, if you will, to go with the heartstrings, tugging at the heartstrings, that is kind of my route, is let's tug at this. And my mom is very well known in our little community here, and so she helps. She's the modern day Mother Teresa, is basically what she is. So a lot of people, she helps everybody with no request for help in return, and so a lot of them really love her, and they know my dad has MS, and so I always try and tag her and everything that I do so that her friends will see it and extend and so forth. Some of the fun things that I've done is I actually commandeered my dad's computer when he was in the personal care home, and all his Outlook contacts in I sent them all an email, but I worded it in such a way that it was him asking them to pledge me for to my cause. So that worked pretty well. I did that to my mom's computer as well. But my mom also has Facebook, so I've taken to Messenger, and so all the people that are online different days, I'll send them a direct message, wording it in such a way that it's actually my mom asking to do it that way. But pretty much just ask anyone and everyone that you can. You have absolutely no idea who will be willing to support your cause. I had one person I posted to our community Facebook page, and I kept on posting saying, hey, you know what? I only need like $100 more to get to this milestone. I had a lady that I've never met. I don't even know who she is. She pledged me 3 times to put me to that level. So you never know who's gonna help you out. So just get that word out and just ask away and never be shy.
I think that's a really great way of putting it. You know, a lot of people that sign up to participate in the May 50K are first-time fundraisers or first-time participating in an event with MS Canada. And so thank you both for sharing your stories and the tips, you know, because you make it seem easy to make that ask. I might get a little more aggressive with my own network. I really
Well,
want
the
that.
other day I made my boss laugh yesterday. I'm a admin professional and it was admin professionals day. So she took us to a local bar for a drink after work yesterday. And so the server, I said, I'm like, so have you heard of MS? And I gave him my card. I'm like, well, I'm doing a 100-kilometer row. Here's my card if you feel that you'd like to help raise money with me or support my row, and whether they do, whether they don't, but just ask anybody.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you both. I'm going to turn it over to Darcy now, who's going to start walking us through some of the nuts and bolts with the May 50K.
All right, hi everybody. So we will be discussing next, as Jennifer said, kind of some of the nuts and bolts with May 50K. And the first thing, just to branch off from Roberta and Susan's conversation with us, is really kind of the next steps in fundraising, and that we would encourage you to tackle and kind of start thinking about. Fundraising can be fun. Fundraising can be easy, as we've heard, previously. And on the May 50K website, there are fundraising tips. If you go in through the resource section, you will see some different documents that will help you start thinking about how to raise $100 or $250 in 5 easy steps, or $500 in five to 7 steps. So there are different ways that we can help support you from the MS Society standpoint as well. Michelle will be talking a little bit about more what's to be coming on here in the next few weeks. But just kind of to give a little bit of a precursor, we will be reaching out and doing some individual, calling and emailing with all of our participants and providing some guidance and some tips and support there. And if you ever have questions, please feel free to ask, and we can help you in any way possible. Kind of some of the fundraising that we have going on for this year, we do have incentives. And for $250 raised, the item that people will get would be a pair of MS Canada branded socks. For $500 raised, it'll be an MS Canada neck buff. And then $1,000 raised will be the MS Canada Club 1000 medal, which you can see here in the picture. The neck buff will also be this very dark hunter green that you see in the center of the bottom of the medal, to really tie in the May 50K brand as a group. So all of the fundraising incentives will be cumulative. So if you raise $1,000, you would get all 3 items. And next slide, please. Coming to the fundraising portal, if you've signed in, you probably have seen that there's different things that you can do in order to make it customized. You can add photos. You can share your own story about why you participate. You can also have the ability to share your fundraising link. Your contact information can be updated for potential donors. And you can provide customized messaging to thank your donors or encourage them to fundraise. You can send out messages from the website, as well as put together activity challenges for your donors. There are milestones that you can add in, or if you would like to have donor incentives that you want to offer your potential donors to help encourage your donors and reward them for your support. There's a way that you can set those donation incentives and donation amounts that you're encouraging individuals to participate and donate for you. You can bake cookies or buy them a coffee, or really anything that you can be creative about in that regard. Coming up on April 29th, you will be getting an email from MS Canada talking about some of the fundraising badges that you might see in your fundraising portal, or that you might get for different fundraising amounts, activity amounts, or things that you do in order to encourage donations. Some of the donations, or excuse me, some of the badges that you can get are, updating your fundraising page, having an activity streak, getting your first kilometer of activity, being a fundraising champion, uh, putting, emails out there through the system to get pledges, raising, the 250, 500, or $1,000 levels. So there's many different badges you can get to kind of make the fundraising a bit more of a game, and then use them as bragging rights, for your donors and for, your team, if you're a part of a team. And in addition to kind of the fundraising portal as well, is utilizing your fundraising link on social media. So there's ways to connect it. And there's also banners and website tools that you can use to spruce up your social media, or even your Zoom. Jennifer and Susan, you saw different backgrounds from them. Those are items that you can download through your fundraising portal. There are different graphics in the fundraising portal that you can put up on your social media pages. Some of them are a bit cheeky, some of them are a bit more serious, just different ways to just engage your network. If you can go ahead and go to the next slide, please.
No, we can't hear the sound.
All right, I apologize that the sound's not coming through on this, but it was just a general video on how to change your fundraising goal. So as you can see here, if you click on there's a little pencil icon to the right of the thermometer. This screen that you currently see in the center of the page will pop up, and it will allow you to change the fundraising goal and update it in that regard. You also can have milestones that you can list. So if you choose a milestone, in the video, it will kind of show that as well. You can see here that I have updated the fundraising total. So you can see that there is now $1,000 raised instead of the 500. The 500 is a set amount that we as an organization have put for everyone's initial fundraising goal. And underneath the thermometer, you can see the next milestone of $250 would be my first milestone, my quarter goal raised. To the right of that, you can see all milestones, and you can be able to put in another milestone of your choosing. I put in here a $500 milestone to if I hit that goal, I will bake cookies for my team as kind of an incentive reward for hitting personally that milestone amount. You can do that. It just kind of adds a little bit of extra fun, excitement to your fundraising, and it really breaks down your fundraising so it doesn't seem so daunting raising a higher goal. It just kind of gives a little bit more of small wins along the way. Denise, if you want to go to the next slide.
We can't hear that one either.
Okay.
Add the.
It's okay. I'll explain this one as well. And I apologize for the sound that's not coming through on these videos. So this slide really talks about changing the kilometer goal that you would set for yourself. So if you look under my name, you'll see the MS Canada Community Cruisers. That's our corporate MS team name. And it says I've completed 0 out of 50 kilometers. If you go up to the top black bar, you'll see an icon that says activity tracking. And I will click here in the video here in a second. And that is the way that you're going to be able to change your activity distance that you're looking to do, either lower or higher, depending upon your ability. So if you come to this screen, you can see that the activity tracking is listed at 0 of 50 kilometers raised. I'm feeling like I'm going to be very active and mobile in the month of May. So if I click on the pencil to the right-hand side of that box, I'm going to change my activity goal to 75 kilometers. And once I hit that and I hit save goal, then it will go ahead and update accordingly onto my activity page tracking. So that is really kind of how you change both the kilometers and the fundraising to suit where you are and to suit any personal goals that you make. And you can go to the next slide, please.
All right, thanks, Darcy. So I'm going to explain to all of you about how to log your kilometers. I am Michelle, and I am the one who is overseeing the May 50K emails, and I've had a lot of questions about this. So just to explain, we have put a hold on tracking kilometers right now just to avoid any confusion, because what's going to happen May 1st when the actual event starts is all kilometers that have been tracked would be wiped to 0. So not to disappoint any of you, we just paused that. So the steps that I'm going to go through briefly with you, I can't show you a demo just yet because that portion has been disabled on the Donor Drive app or on the dashboard, but you will be getting an email out on April 29th explaining it and giving you a bit more details, and it'll make more sense once it's live on May 1st. But what is great about all of this is you can either use a tracking device or you can do it manually. So manually, if you use a pedometer or you just kind of know that the distance you went was a kilometer, you can enter that manually. And just like what we saw on the previous screen in the video that Darcy was showing, you would go to your activity tracking tab at the top and click on that. And that's where you can enter in the date and the distance of the activity that you went, how far you went. And you can do it each time you do a new activity. If you're using your phone, it's a little bit different, but you're still going to your dashboard and you just click on log my fitness activity. And again, you're entering the date and the distance. Number of kilometers will appear on your fundraising page each time you enter something new. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so that previous one was how you're going to do it manually. If you do have a tracking app, you will need to download the Donor Drive app as well. And what you will do is you'll set up your account and log into the May 50K, and then you'll connect. Donor Drive is connected to 3 different fitness tracking apps. So Fitbit, Apple Health, and Google Fit or Strava. So each one of these can be connected. So if you're wearing, say, a smartwatch, or you have your phone app going when you're going for a walk, a bike ride, or what have you, you just need to make sure you start the activity on the app. It'll log your distance, and then you stop it and you save it. And then it will sync to the Donor Drive fundraising page automatically for you. So it may take about 24 hours for this to set in and show up on your page. So just give it a bit of time, but it will sync for you. Pardon me, I've had a few people asking, they're away, they won't be starting or able to sync their activity until, say, May 3rd. That's not a problem. If you track your activities on your fitness app, It will, once you sync it to your donor drive fundraising page, it will log everything you've done from May 1st all the way to May 31st. Okay, so some of you may have already synced before we put that hold on. So if you have some kilometers that it says you've already gone, that's going to be wiped down to 0 starting May 1st. And then the very end of May 31st, that's when it stops. So let's see if we can, I think we've got that. So yeah, we can switch to the next slide, please. Okay, so as I mentioned, when you are tracking your distances, just make sure you're logging, you're hitting start and stop and save, and it will tally for you. And then an information, a little bit more will come out April 29th to give you details. And then May 1st, that's when you will actually see the prompts of activity tracking. Right now, those are not visible to you on your dashboards just because it's been disabled. Yeah, if we can switch to that. So what's next in the next few weeks? Like Darcy had mentioned, you'll be getting some stewardship calls or emails, likely from Darcy or I, and possibly Jennifer as well. We're just going to be reaching out to you to give you some tips. It may be based on the emails that I'm getting a lot of questions on in the May 50K. Just we'll kind of tailor it to what we're finding most people are asking and wondering about. We will also be giving you journal fundraising tip, event updates, facts on MS Canada, and just how the dollars you're raising are helping our organization and people living with MS. If you have, and we would love to get feedback from you. So that's where social media is going to be fantastic. So if you have a great fundraising tip, just like Susan and Roberta shared with us, we'd love to hear it and tag. So if you can see on the screen there, you can tag MS Canada. So any of our social medias, please tag us, and our social media crew will like it and possibly share it as well. And we'll try and watch for it as well to share in these emails to other people, because maybe you're stuck on, you're just like, I'm really close to my goal, but I'm just not sure how to get that next $100. We can share those tips with you as well. Please use hashtags, the May 50K and MS Awareness Month, as May is MS Awareness Month. So this campaign is perfect timing. Yeah, on May 1st, so that's officially when the activity starts, and every kilometer will count all the way up to the end of May 31st. It is a little bit different though than what our fundraising cutoff date is. So if you can switch to the next slide. Okay, so just to be clear, the tracking of your kilometers is all just in May 1st to May 31st, but our fundraising, as soon as you register, you could register today, or if you did when we launched it mid-March, you could start fundraising then, and that can go all the way to June 30th. So fundraising will go past when your kilometers are being tracked. The easiest way, so it's saying, how do you turn in cash or check donations? So we're strongly suggesting encouraging your donors to use credit cards and donate directly to your fundraising pages. And the reason being that reduces the amount of work for you and the donor, and they will get a tax receipt emailed to them immediately. So that's very nice. Which I absolutely know, you're going to get some people who don't want to do online donations, and so they will give you cash or checks. We do have various ways to get the money to MS Canada, but instead of complicating things, the easiest way is for you to basically email the May 50K. We'll have that email up at the end. You can just email that address and just say, I've got a bunch of cash or check donations. What do I do? Because we do have like 4 basically different ways you can do it. We can have you go to an RBC branch, but we need to give you a pay slip. You can e-transfer us, but there's a certain way of doing it. You can mail the checks to us, but we do need some different information, or you can pay by credit card, but there's a specific way of doing it. We have had some people trying to lump sum all the cash donations and just pay on their credit card, and then hoping to have all the tax receipts sent to the individual donors. And we just can't do that with CRA regulations. We need to have everything done a certain way just to make sure everyone gets the tax receipt and it is all done properly and legally. So easiest way is just email that address, and then we can find out what the best way is that works for you, and then we can give you more information that way. And then when will the fundraising incentives arrive? So the socks, the buff, and the medal that Darcy was talking about earlier, because our fundraising goes right until the end of June 30th. So that includes all the cash and checks and everything like that that you may be mailing into our office. Those have to arrive to our office by June 30th to count for this year's campaign and to go to your incentives. So keep that in mind if you're getting them. Don't wait until, you know, the last day, June 29th. Try and get them in sooner. We will be mailing out all the incentives after we've tallied everything June 30th. And depending on where you live and fundraising rewards, it may take 3 to 6 weeks for things to arrive at your house. And I think that's it for me. If you can move on to the next slide.
Great. Thank you, Michelle and Darcy. That takes us to the end of the formal presentation for this evening. And we do have a few minutes in case you have any questions or any thoughts. If you participated in the past and have some great ideas, the chat is open. Or I believe you can also come off mute.
Jennifer, actually, it's not really a question per se, but rather for the incentives, like I understand those that have a lot of cash and checks that you're waiting till the end, but if they've, such as Roberta and I, it's all the, at least the credit cards have already cleared that $1,000, wouldn't it be sort of a bit better to send those out now? Because the only reason I say that is it makes for good advertising, right? Like I have this, but I didn't get that last year in time to wear it on my walk. I would have loved to have worn it on my walk, kind of thing. But so yeah, if we can kind of get them in the middle, then
part of it is for shipping purposes. It's easier for our shipper to do it as one big bulk. Than to try to send them out individually.
Okay.
But great suggestion. We might be able to look at it for next year.
I want to point out, just because we did talk about money, and you know, not being able to put it on the credit card, I want to point out to anyone that hasn't fundraised yet, I was super upset to hear that. But I have already sent in 2 lump sums of money and I'm not sure if her name is Jan. Anyways, I've been emailing her, filling out the correct forms, and it is super easy, super user friendly. So just in case anybody like is kind of skeptical or nervous about that, it's actually super easy and they're helpful, because I was not excited about that. I'll be the first to admit.
Thank you for sharing, Roberta. I haven't done a cash donation, so I can't speak to what it's like, other than, you know, these are the instructions. See, there's the email is on the screen, the may50k@mscanada.ca. Feel free to use that anytime, and someone from our team will get back to you. You will also be receiving emails from that address throughout the month, so look out for those. And I think Julie has a question.
I do. I had a quick question about, so it's my first time doing May 50K, but I've been doing the MS bike for a few years now, and I am going to continue doing that. So I guess I had a question in terms of like, did anyone have any tips and tricks on how to like socialize double dipping into your like community fundraisers, like the people who generally, you know, fundraise for bike? I would now be asking, you know, can you fundraise me for this and for bike? Any tips or tricks in that regard?
If there is anyone on the call that has done that,
Actually, I'm sorry.
Roberta, go ahead.
In our community, I do the walk and a friend of mine does the bike for her uncle. So we just try, and I know it's a little different because you're doing both yourself, but maybe try to like for the bike run, you know, she does a lot of like gift basket draws type of thing. We always do very different things. So, you know, people see the gift baskets, they think, oh, that's for the MS bike run, versus I'm more of a, okay, you know, you can watch me walk, give me money type of deal. But I'm just, how am I, my French is making me struggle here. But basically, if you can divide the two by kind of fundraising in different ways, whether it's, you know, making gift baskets or something versus not, maybe, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I am also doing both, and I'm trying to figure out who to target for what, because I know that the double piece is a bit tricky. So what I'm going to try is, for the May 50K, I'm going to primarily put that out on my social media and see what happens. And then for my bike, really go to my family and friends individually for the ask. I don't have a quick answer. I can let you know how it's going. But yes, for those of us that are participating in more than one event, doing the dance with our friends and family and those in our network can be tricky.
Thank you.
And there it does so we are out of questions. I really want to thank everyone who signed on for joining us this evening. It's the first time that we've done an event like this, a launch event like this virtually in community. And so it means a lot to us that you chose to spend an hour of your time with us. For its practice, really. You know, we're learning something new today. And you will receive a copy of the slide deck, as well as a link to the recording in case there's any information that you would like to refer to. And lastly, good luck with your May 50K. We look forward to following you on social media and following your journeys and celebrating your successes with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good evening.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Thank you.